what I've always appreciated about him, what everybody does, is his ability to throw a football and pass it. It's like in Aaron in his prime, to me, is the greatest passer of the football the league's ever seen. He could get the ball from point A to B faster and more accurate than any player, I think, in the history of the NFL.
Okay, what are the chances that we see a vintage, a prime performance from Aaron Rodgers, your guy, bro?
Well, they're very slim. Very slim.
But a chance?
I would be shocked.
Okay.
I would be gobsmacked if we see
Godsmack.
If we see vintage Aaron Rodgers. Last year, big game, Jets debut. We waited a whole year after he got hurt to see it. Throws for 167. Now, it was I think it was in the Niners. You know,
yeah.
He threw for 167, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Niners turned out not to be a very good team.
They
Right.
one drive that was like the highlight of Jets football the last 5 years.
41 years old. Now, Coach, even though I did not pick them to make the playoffs, I would love to see not only a vintage Aaron Rodgers game, but season. Like, I think, because I root for stories. As much as I root for my picks and stuff, I root for stories. And that would be a fantastic story if he could really turn the Steelers into a contender. But I don't see it happening at all.
Aaron Rodgers losing to the Jets would also be a cool story.
Yeah.
I don't think that'd be as big of a shock to people. Like,
Really?
Well, they're the favorite. Steelers are a road favorite
but the Jets
against a
defense
team.
is pretty good. Aaron Glenn is
Bro,
supposed
it's
to
a
turn
team
that defense
everybody
around.
thinks is going to finish last.
Yeah,
in
I got them
division.
last too, but I'm just like.
But based off of Jets karma, since they got rid of certain coaches, it hasn't been very good. So to have Aaron Rodgers go back to that stadium on opening day and light him up, that would be kind of apropos. That'd be kind of
yes.
And
So you think it could happen?
Well, here's the advantage that Aaron does have. It's not really an away game for him. He's more familiar with that stadium than he is playing in Pittsburgh at this point.
Yeah.
So there's that. The second thing
But
is
not a lot of good memories in that stadium.
but at least he's familiar with it.
Yeah.
The second thing is for the players that are still part of the Jets, and there's a significant part that say defensively, he spent 2 years with those guys, so he understands their strengths and weaknesses better than anybody else, better than anybody on the Steelers coaching staff. He was with them. He knows the things that hurt them. He knows the things that they have difficulty with. He knows which guys jump off sides. All the things.
But Coach, that leans towards Rodgers rather than the Jets defense.
Because they know him too.
Yeah, they do to some degree, but it'll be with a different system. And I would put my money on Aaron probably absorbing more of their traits than maybe some of the defensive guys absorbing Aaron's traits. As a quarterback, you're so programmed to look at strengths and weaknesses of defenders and spend all that time with them. That is a significant advantage for him, which I imagine he could take advantage of.
So Coach is on the record. Vintage performance.
No, he did not say. Brew is always.
I'll go. I don't know if it'll be vintage, but I'd say that the odds of him performing well are a lot higher than it could be against most opponents.
Okay, all right. First of all, if we're going to do the fuzzy math on who has the karma edge, I'm going to, in this instance, give it to the Jets for Aaron Glenn having the, I think, courage to do the right thing for his football team, which is say, if I'm going to install my own program, I need a clean break from Aaron Rodgers, even if there's a good chance that next year my quarterback is not as good as Aaron Rodgers is. You know what I mean? Aaron Rodgers is not good enough anymore for the difference between him and whomever I'm going to get to replace him is not going to be great enough to offset the difference in me being able to install my program. I think that was smart by Aaron Glenn, and I think that one of the reasons the Jets have a chance to surprise people, again, I also picked them to finish last, but is because for the first time, Coach, in almost a decade, the story about that football team is not about their quarterback.
Yeah.
Because they went from Darnold to Zach to Aaron, where everyone was a tertiary character to how good's the quarterback? Is the quarterback developing? Is he on track? Or in Aaron's case, the Achilles throws everything off, but then still it's all about Aaron. So in that regard, I also think this is not that different than the bar saying, earmuffs, kids, chances we see the tooth fairy tonight.
Okay. Let's settle down here. Start bringing up the tooth fairy. The Steelers defense, I don't use this word often, but they're going to cook Justin Fields. Okay? If you think Mike Tomlin and that Pittsburgh Steelers defense are going to allow Justin Fields to get going week 1, talk about a team that's going to know their quarterback, or know the quarterback, like how Mangini was talking about Aaron Rodgers knowing that defense. Oh, Mike Tomlin and that defense, they're going to know Justin Fields. They're going to know all his strengths and weaknesses. And they're going to get after Justin Fields. So I wouldn't be surprised if Aaron Rodgers has, let's just call them favorable possessions. Whether that means extra possessions, positive field position, good field position, things of that nature. I don't think there's going to be this intentionality of, hey, man, we got to have Aaron Rodgers cook. We got to get Aaron Rodgers going. It's about winning games. And I think last year, now that Aaron was coming back from an injury and all this and missed obviously a whole season, he had to rediscover not only his own body, his own strengths and weaknesses, but he also kind of had to relearn of like, who's the player that I am today? Anyone who's ever played sports competitively, who's then kind of aged a little bit or a lot of it, you realize that you have to kind of start to change how you play, change how you move. There were certain things that I used to do when I was playing that I would never do now. Not even for a second. I was the type of person who was just all over the court, the field, whatever sport we were playing. I was out there. I remember people, coaches were always like, oh, he always sacrifices his body. And I would always be like, what are you talking about? Like, I'm not sacrificing my body. I'm not putting anything on the line. I'm just playing. Now in hindsight, it's like, I'm not doing that because that you are sacrificing your body. You are rolling the dice every time you hit the ground like that. I'm like, I'm not doing that. And, as a quarterback, you do start to learn and discover, like, what you need to do as you get older, how you kind of change your game. And that was a process for Aaron, I believe, last year. Now he knows it. Now he kind of has that knowledge. And as long as the physical skill set, for the most part, is still there and the team is good enough and he connects enough with his, offensive coaching staff, then I think it'll be significantly smoother than it was with the New York Jets. But I do not believe this year is about Aaron Rodgers throwing for 4,000 plus yards and 40 some touchdowns. That's not what it's about. They will be more than happy to win these games 21-10, 18-14. I always try to use like weird random scores. 18-12. Like they'll be content with that, and not because they can't do more, but because they want to be in a position where they don't have to. And in the moments when they do, then you trust Aaron Rodgers to get after it, but you're not going to rely on your quarterback who has a year or two max left in him to just drop back and let it rip 45 times a game. That would be insanity. And expect him to now play ideally 17 and beyond. You're not going to do that. That's just bad management. So, and it doesn't mean that it's not going to randomly happen, especially if you are in rhythm and things are cooking and you just realize, oh man, we can just get after this defense, no problem, then sure. But I just don't think that's going to be like the game plan. That's not going to be the intention of this team. So that's just the way how I view it right now. So the chances we see vintage Rodgers on Sunday, it's the wrong question. And that's why I take issue with saying the Tooth Fairy, because it's impossible to see the Tooth Fairy. It's not impossible to see Aaron Rodgers, but it's just like, do you need to see vintage Aaron Rodgers? I don't think that's what it's about. But also take note, specifically Kansas City Chiefs fans and Patrick Mahomes fans and Lamar Jackson fans and Josh Allen fans, all the fans of the individual quarterbacks, but especially Patrick Mahomes fans and Kansas City Chiefs fans. You hear what Tom Brady said talking about prime Rodgers, the greatest passer of the football the league's ever seen. Take note on a nuanced conversation and being able to discuss different varying traits about an individual quarterback. How your individual quarterback doesn't have to be perfection at every single thing. Like how Lamar Jackson fans just can't accept that Joe Burrow is a better passer, right? That the Patrick Mahomes fans can't accept that Josh Allen does anything. Josh Allen can't even tie his shoes better than Patrick Mahomes. You can't accept it. Can't accept it. You know, like, okay, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. It's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. When you have Aaron Rodgers come out here saying something like that, it's like, take note. Take note how it's okay. It's okay. It's okay to have some nuanced conversations here. If Tom Brady's okay making statements like this, you probably should too. Right? Right? You understand? But yeah, I mean, chances we see vintage Rodgers Sunday going up against the New York Jets. I forgot that this was week 1. It's so hard when you look at every single schedule and all the games. It's like now I'm being hit hard with all the games too, because before it's like when we all first looked at the schedules, it's like I look at them in that moment, but it's very much out of sight, out of mind. But now that it obviously actually matters, and I'm thinking like, okay, what games am I actually going to be watching now? Because we're not looking at the schedule in July or whatever. You're like, oh man, Jets Steelers game, like that's awesome. And you're like, oh, Packers Lions, like that's awesome. Bears Vikings, like that's awesome. Cowboys Eagles, I guess. Chargers Chiefs, awesome. Like we had a lot of awesome week 1 games, man. I totally forgot that the Jets and the Steelers were playing each other like this week 1. So that's the, you know, that makes that does make these games from like a story and narrative base so much more interesting. And yeah, it's gonna be a good game. I think either way it's gonna be interesting. And to me, the conversation, like, this is what's so funny. It doesn't always have to be about an Aaron Rodgers. It doesn't always have to be about Aaron Rodgers just because we know the name and know, you know, how popular he is. That's less the story here. Chances we see vintage Aaron Rodgers Sunday. That's not the story to me, honestly. It's a narrative for sure, but if we're actually looking at it in terms of when I talk about the story now, I'm talking about like the football story, like what actually matters on the field. It's how the Steelers defense should be able to just make Justin Fields look like a third stringer. And if Justin Fields plays great, then it's like, how the heck did the Pittsburgh Steelers let that guy leave? That's more the story than will we see a Hall of Fame quarterback be able to give one last hurrah? Like it matters a little bit less right now from my viewpoint in this specific moment, because I don't think the Jets are a great team. So maybe, you know, in a few weeks, and when the Steelers are playing a better team and you need a better Aaron Rodgers and you're going up against a better quarterback, then sure. But in order to like win this game week 1, set the tone, you're having a quarterback that you benched, who you said was not good, and then, you know, let him leave. You got to come up big. You got to come up big. You got to make that quarterback look like, yep, that's why we got rid of you. That's why we didn't want you. That's why we benched you. That's why we didn't give you any, you know, that's why we didn't offer you a legitimate contract to stick around. So that's, to me, is the more interesting conversation. But I get it. People want to talk about Aaron Rodgers more than they would want a Justin Fields. So, but, you know, I think both stories will be interesting enough to look for, but we will see. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Pittsburgh Steelers and Aaron Rodgers taking on the New York Jets? Do you think we will see vintage Aaron Rodgers on Sunday? Do you think it even matters? And what are you more interested in seeing? How Aaron Rodgers plays against the New York Jets, or how Justin Fields plays against the Pittsburgh Steelers? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.